Having a good quality light mounted on every firearm is an absolute necessary for law enforcement officers these days, and even for a number of private security roles. And it seems that even people who are not in law enforcement and not in security are attaching a flashlight, a weapon-mounted light, if you will, to their daily carry, concealed carry firearms. Recently, Olight reached out to me and asked if I would test the PL Turbo Valkyrie and give my thoughts. So stay with me and we'll take a look at it. Thank you for dropping in. Full disclaimer, Olight did send this PL Turbo Valkyrie to me for evaluation. I was already familiar with the Olight products. I had purchased a Warrior 3S handheld flashlight out of my own funds before Olight sent me anything, so I was relatively pleased with the products and certainly familiar with the company. And my question is, how would the PL Turbo stack up? So I did put it through some basic tests. Now, I didn't beat the heck out of it like Tools and Targets did. Interesting video if you want to see a torture test on the PL Turbo Valkyrie. That is, he tortured it. I didn't torture it. However, I did shoot it. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. But some basic specs. This does take the standard CR 123A batteries. It comes with a pair of them, and these are your lithium non-rechargeables that easy in, easy out. And they are claiming to last for, well, they say 4 minutes if it's on full bright, and then it goes down to 50% brightness and lasts for another 2 hours. I've used this extensively with those batteries in it. I've tried it during the daylight, and I've also done it quite a bit at night, and I have yet to run out of batteries. In fact, I even did a brief test with setting a timer up and putting this light on and seeing if it would actually get down to 50% brightness after 4 minutes, and it didn't. I ran it up to 5 minutes and it still didn't decrease in brightness, but it did get hot, so I'm guessing that the decrease to 50% brightness is mainly because it's getting so hot when it's running full power. And full power in this case is 810 lumens. And that's lumens are nice. There are lights that have more lumens, but candela is even more important than lumens. Candela is the concentration of light, and this is advertised as 66,300 candela. And Olight claims that this will work out to 515 meters. I didn't test it that far, but we'll roll some footage in throughout this video showing how I did test it at night, and my range, as you know, goes out to 50 yards. And this light on my Glock 19 with a suppressor was shooting just like shooting at daylight at 50 yards. Really did like it. So some other basics. This has a secure mount, which I really like. Some of these, some lights just have a snap over mount, which can come loose. This has a threaded mount that you can tighten finger tight, or a small screwdriver, or even just a coin in the slot, and that'll tighten this down on the rail so that it's not coming out. Another unique feature on this one is a couple of things actually. It comes with two different notches here to go into the rail, the slot on the rail. The one that came with the light is actually the narrower one that's designed for older generation Glocks. New generation or Gen 5 Glocks and just about everything else on a Picatinny rail takes the wider mount in here, but I only used it with the one that came with it, the Glock, the older Glock type mount, and it worked on everything. It also has a multi-position rail, which is something that's also really nice. So you got 3 different positions you can slide that in. I ran everything that I owned. I tested this on probably a dozen different guns, and everything was in the middle slot. I didn't have any reason to go beyond that. Speaking of the locking mechanism, it's nice that you can't take this screw all the way out. Otherwise it could fall out. You have a spring problem and things come apart. Not going to happen with this because it won't back out any farther than that. Backs out plenty far enough to be able to mount it on any rail. This is a cert gun, so we're not going to do it with a live gun down here right now. And it does mount very easily and twist down to secure this, and it's not going to come off. Even finger tight, this is not going to come off. Definitely accessible to work it with the, if you're right-handed, work it with your secondary thumb, work it with your trigger finger, do it for constant on, do it for momentary, or the two together will strobe, and it really versatile. Of course, if you're shooting with the other hand, again, just the opposite of that, trigger finger or secondary hand thumb. Good secure mount that, again, I couldn't dislodge with anything. I shot it on my Staccato P, which of course it's 9mm, and that's what I would love to be carrying if I was still working in uniform. I also put it through an M&P Performance Center 10mm, and I even put it through an 11.5mm. Some of you may call that 45 ACP. That was on my SIG Scorpion, and I never had any problem with any of it. It didn't come loose. I didn't have any malfunctions with the light at all. And at night, I even shot it through the Glock 19 with a Surefire Rider suppressor on it, just to so it wasn't disturbing the neighbors when I was shooting at night. I rarely shoot after 6 o'clock. And everything worked just fine, and no problems at all. The only issue I had shooting at night, I did have some reflection of the light itself on the bottom of that fairly long suppressor, but it didn't get in the way of anything. It didn't deteriorate the vision. All right, so again, it does have ambi safety. We mentioned momentary. So if you just tap it, it stays on. If you hold it for a moment, then you've got your momentary light. And again, I never managed to run the battery out. I've still got the original batteries in there right now. And again, with the lumens, gives you the wide angle picture, which is kind of like your floodlight, and it really lights up at a wide angle on my range. The candela is what I like for the focus. That gives you that spotlight. That's a condensed beam. And again, for projecting that light, candela is more important than lumen. Now, they sent me a light in black. I believe you can also get this in desert tan. And overall, I've been using my old Streamlight TLR1S for a long time, and yeah, I was okay with that. But then putting these side by side, there is just absolutely a huge difference between the TLR1 and the Olight. Almost the same form factor. They still have the same method of attaching, although it doesn't have the adjustable rail as it would with as it does with the Olight. And of course has a different mechanism to operate it. So you got momentary on is down on one side, up on the other. Constant on is just flipping at the opposite direction. Again, it's always worked fine for me, but I like the controls on the Olight actually are better than for me than I found than they are on the Streamlight. Let's put them side by side here for a second. So again, the Streamlight worked fine for me for a long time. However, once I got to the Olight, there is just really no comparison, just a huge difference. Again, I'll show these on how they worked out at night for me. So when all is said and done, Streamlight, you're going away. Olight is my new weapon-mounted light, and the PL Turbo Valkyrie, good combination for my Warrior 3S. And by the way, if you purchase these right now, I understand that they're up to was it 30% off, I believe, on both the PL Turbo and on the Warrior 3S. And again, I paid for that when they did send me the PL Turbo. And if you use the code RIDER10, that's just RIDER number 10, RIDER10, then you'll get another 10% off. I don't know if that's 10% off the 30% or not, but you can try it and find out. Or anything else on the Olight website, by all means help the channel out by using that code RIDER10. All right, so the PL Turbo Valkyrie by Olight. It checks all the boxes for me. It does everything I absolutely need to do when I'm out and about at night. And again, if I was still working the street, I wouldn't hesitate in the least bit to have this mounted on my Staccato for duty, and probably even something similar on the long gun. Definitely like it. All right, thanks for stopping in.